to Furniture Industry News from FurniturePodcast.com, where you can stay up to date on the latest news surrounding the ever-evolving furniture industry. In today's episode, we'll cover the $8 million settlement reached in Art Van Furniture's bankruptcy court case, the warning issued by U.S. retailers and food chains about a potential slowdown in consumer spending as student loan payments resume, and the disruptions caused by heavy rains and flooding from Tropical Storm Hilary on Union Pacific's Southern California network, leading to rail service interruptions and delays. An $8 million settlement has been reached in federal bankruptcy court in relation to the sale of Art Van Furniture to a private equity firm in 2017. The settlement, approved by Judge Craig Goldblatt of the U.S. Bankruptcy Court in Delaware, will see the majority of the amount being paid by the National Union Fire Insurance Company. However, the agreement does not constitute an admission of any allegations made, and the defendants have been released from all claims by the trustee, Alfred T. Giuliano. Gary Van Elslander, son of Art Van Elslander, expressed his family's relief that the lawsuit has been settled. Nevertheless, he acknowledged that it remains a painful chapter for both the family and the employees of the former Warren, Michigan-based retailer. He voiced his sympathy for the employees, stating that they were the heart of the company and likely suffered the most in this ordeal. According to Gary Van Elslander, the company's downfall can be attributed to the pursuit of expansion and the introduction of external leadership. He believed that the company's culture was lost along the way as the executive team became less hands-on with the retail stores. He also noted that management brought in from outside the Detroit area did not fully understand or prioritize the legacy and brand of Art Van Furniture. The original complaint, filed in March 2022 by trustee Alfred T. Giuliano, sought to recover over $105 million in fraudulent transfers and over $84.7 million in certain real properties. The complaint contended that Art Van's sale in 2017 to Thomas H. Lee Partners resulted in a highly leveraged transaction that burdened the debtors with unsustainable debt while benefiting the defendants. Art Van filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in March 2020 and subsequently converted to Chapter 7 in April of the same year. Prior to the bankruptcy proceedings, the company ranked number 14 in Furniture Today's 2020 Top 100, with $1.043 billion in sales across 192 stores in 2019. Major retail and food chains in the United States are bracing investors for a potential slowdown in consumer spending. This is due to the upcoming end of a 3-year pause in student loan payments. Executives from Macy's and Walmart have expressed concerns regarding the increased financial pressure on consumers as a result of these loan repayments resuming. Beginning on September 1st, federal student loans will start accruing interest again, with payments set to begin on October 1st. Approximately 40 million consumers will face a payment shock when the relief period for student debt ends. This, coupled with existing difficulties in paying off credit card debt, could further strain consumers' financial situations and potentially lead to reduced spending in other areas. Analysts at TD Cowen have identified brands such as Target and Ulta as being particularly vulnerable due to their exposure to younger, low-income consumers with student loans. UBS analyst Jay Soul suggests that overall apparel spending may decrease as student debt borrowers prioritize brands and specialty retailers. Furthermore, stores with a higher mix of discretionary products including Target, Ulta, Dick's Sporting Goods, Best Buy, Home Depot, Lowe's, Costco, and Walmart face higher risks. While some borrowers are still in their forbearance period, approximately 27 million consumers will be facing the resumption of payments in the coming weeks. However, the Department of Education will implement a 12-month repayment on-ramp from October 2023 to September 2024, during which financially vulnerable borrowers who miss payments will not be considered delinquent or reported to credit bureaus and debt collectors. This may delay any major impacts on consumer spending until late next year. As companies continue to closely monitor these developments, they are mindful of the pressures faced by consumers, from student loan payments restarting to higher gas prices, costly utility bills, and a potentially hawkish Fed. Heavy rains and flooding from Tropical Storm Hilary have had a significant impact on Union Pacific's network in Southern California. Parts of the network, specifically the Mojave and Yuma subdivisions, are currently out of service due to water and mud covering the tracks. The widespread closure of roads and interstates has also affected the transportation of crews needed to operate trains, and public electrical outages are causing disruptions in some terminals. The railway has warned that flooding may continue for several days. Once conditions improve, Union Pacific plans to strategically stage rail ballast, panels, personnel, and electric generators in the affected areas. The engineering and operating teams are actively addressing the service interruptions to minimize delays. Union Pacific has directed customers to its hurricane planning and recovery page for guidance on how to prepare for hurricanes and adverse weather conditions. Additionally, the railway has inspected the tracks near Ojai, California, following a recent earthquake, and has confirmed that there were no impacts on rail operations. Although the storm has now moved inland and north to Nevada, its impacts led to California, Governor Gavin Newsom declaring a state of emergency. President Joe Biden has announced that the Federal Emergency Management Agency will provide personnel and supplies to support response efforts in California, Nevada, and Arizona. The Surface Transportation Board is actively monitoring the disruptions to rail service caused by Tropical Storm Hilary. STB has requested rail carriers, shippers, and stakeholders to report any rail service disruptions that could result in an emergency situation. If necessary, the board will utilize its emergency service authority granted under federal law. Thanks for listening to today's episode. See you at the next one, and don't forget to subscribe.